What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with the Jolly
Gersh1! Ho, ho, ho.
That was very Santa-like.
Thank you.
That's how he says it.
Ho, ho, ho.
And today we're back at it, festive as always, bringing you some holiday cheer in the form of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And that is what
we have done. This is our gift to you guys because we are stoked. Well, I am at least. This cat thing you see is stoked as well because we have confirmation that we have a Warhammer 40K cinematic universe coming our way.
So let's talk a little bit about that. But before we get into it, I do want to say, don't get your hopes up. It's like, so from the very beginning, I think I've said that Henry Cavill is lying and he's just doing this because he wants to put his foot in the door in something like this, and he's going to lead the whole cinematic universe. But as an actor, and like I think the post even said like we're looking for writers.
Yeah, he's looking for writers, producers, all this stuff. So this is very entry level.
Yeah,
I don't see this happening in the next 3 years. Like that's how far out it's probably going to be.
So I guess the question is, what would we want to see in a kind of 40K cinematic universe? And it's difficult because if you notice with like the MCU, the
DC,
yeah, they are creating their own universes,
their own stories,
but they're kind of retelling like Civil War. They're retelling Secret Wars because that's coming up too. Right? Same thing with like you're introducing all these characters and stuff like that. But with Warhammer 40K, it's a little different because you don't necessarily have to stick with the story of the Emperor. I would want a cinematic universe that picks up at the end of like now. I don't think I would want a Horus Heresy retelling.
Right.
But I feel like they're going to do that.
I don't think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I don't either.
No. There's too much that is assumed of the viewer. Yeah. And the thing that I was noticing is whenever I was watching these posts, like, oh, Henry Cavill was attached to Warhammer 40K. And then when they tried to explain what 40K is, these news outlets had no idea.
Right.
They're like, oh, this is a tabletop game. This is a miniature painting game.
Right.
Yeah, so they didn't elaborate further.
Yeah. And I think we have to keep that in mind, right? When this cinematic universe is being created, it's going to be for people who don't know anything about orcs, Eldar, Gretchen, the Zotes.
Right.
So, like, in that, because the lore is so rich, to try to throw all that stuff in all at once would be like devastating. Like it wouldn't work. And that's why I think that unfortunately, even though I don't think it's a good place for them to start, I think they're going to do the Horus Heresy or 30K just because of the fact that like it's humanity versus humanity. Like it's humans versus humans. Sure, you get like glimpses of like different factions, but even in Warhammer 30K, the tabletop game,
it's Space Marines versus Space Marines.
Yeah, so traitors versus loyalists. And I think the simplicity of the Horus Heresy is probably going to be like a place where like there's not much for them to do, and they can just sprinkle in a little bit of comments of like, oh yeah, the orcs, oh yeah, the Eldar.
The cool thing about the Heresy is that it's not hard. The story has been written. Yeah. We've seen animations of it, so it's just adapting that to an actual movie. Yeah.
Now, if they took it a different way and they actually created a cinematic universe where you have homebrew, right? Like you have your own, it's a completely new Space Marine chapter, kind of like what they did with Dawn of War, right?
Yeah.
Like the Blood Ravens.
Raven Guard? No, Blood Ravens.
Blood Ravens, yeah. Like if they did that, I think that would be really exciting. And then they don't have to, they can allude to the Imperial Fist. They can allude to the orcs. They could allude to like all these bigger elements, the ecclesiarchy and all that kind of stuff, the emperor. But they have the creative freedom to be like, well, this Space Marine chapter is not Codex compliant. It's different, and like Because I do think that they have to talk about Space Marines.
For sure. The way I see it is they have to show it in humanity's point of view.
Right.
They'll give you it'll be like an introduction at first to how humanity is, how they've advanced, where they are, and then it'll go to like a guardsman.
Right.
Like it'll be a person wanting to go to be a guardsman, seeing all the horrors of the galaxy, seeing how technologically advanced yet stagnant the Imperium is, and then the final scene would be like a battle where the guardsmen are just losing, they're getting completely demolished, and then the Space Marines come in.
Yeah.
So you establish the era, you establish the theme, the tone that, guardsmen are they're not the best.
Right.
And then you see these angels of death, these demigods, and that's how like the universe begins to expand.
But I do think that the key too is like the thing about Warhammer 40K is the scope of everything, right?
But I feel like before you get to that scope, you have to start somewhere.
Right, yeah. So I think it would be really cool if they did, because I feel like a lot of D&D campaigns kind of are very cookie cutter, but in a good way, almost to the point where what is it called?
Tropes?
Yeah, I'm like the examples of, so for example, I'm watching Star Wars, what is it, Andor? So in that is the story of him,
right?
And it gives you a snapshot of what's happening in the grander empire. I think that's how they can do it. Like if they zeroed in on like what you said, like maybe an Imperial Guardsman, and then expanded. Another idea too is to highlight kind of like the Wrath and Glory game, where you are talking about a conglomeration of people that are going on these missions, and they're mismatched, right? Like you can have a recruit alongside a Space Marine, Space Marine neophyte, I think so, or an aspirant, I can't remember, but like, or even like an orc, like a mercenary orc, things like that. That would be kind of cool too.
Yeah, because then you see like, oh, this is in this universe, this thing's in this universe, this is how this species reacts and interacts.
Yeah. The last thing I want though, because like, have you watched the Willow? Yeah. I didn't really like it. Like I felt
I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was good. It was just like, eh.
I want something with good writing, and I think like a good story.
That's the thing that a lot of people are concerned about. They're saying, oh, this is going to be an Amazon studio thing. They're going to butcher it.
Because they did that with Lord of the Rings.
Well, I thought Lord of the Rings was okay.
So yeah, but it was boring.
Well, here's the thing. Amazon has also done The Boys.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, is a better interpretation than even the comic.
Yeah. I think everybody says that, yeah, right?
Yeah. And then they've also got like Invincible, and they've got other shows on there that are pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, the hope is that, yeah, they get good writing. But they're going to have to balance that whole thing of telling an intimate story, but showing the scope of 40K. Because that's the whole point, right?
Because we've seen how Marvel did it.
Yeah.
Start with each character, build their backstory, slowly intertwine.
Right.
And then we've seen how DC did it.
Yeah.
Justice League, right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
That's true. And I hopefully, because he's coming from Justice League, or he's coming from like the Superman background, I hopefully they don't fuck it up by doing that.
But I mean, look at him. He was also in The Witcher. He loves The Witcher, and he had to step away once he said, hey, these writers aren't doing it. I don't want to be attached to this. Yeah. So if Cavill is not only acting in it, but also executive producing in it, hopefully this will be something true to the core of 40K.
This is a message to Henry Cavill and his team. Just hire us, and we will give you guys the what's what of what you guys should do.
Just let me voice a Sister of Silence, please.
Yeah, give us a cameo.
Yeah. I will be tree number 3 in the background.
Yeah.
So convoluted, you don't even see me. Like all the CGI and the effects. Yeah.
It just washes out. You're wearing a green suit.
Yeah. I'm wearing this green suit. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot they can do.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a video, this video is completely consumed by this question.
Is this a greater wall?
Yeah. If you guys have any input, and I know you do, let us know in the comment section below. What do you guys want to see, and how can they find a balance between massive scope and intimate story?
Yeah.
And also, do you want Imperial Guard or Space Marines? Or Sisters of Battle?
I feel like everybody wants Space Marines.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to make them more money.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the face of 40K.
I had an idea once of, I actually wrote it out too, way back when we first started the channel. of telling a story of like the neophyte going through training. So
I
you
didn't
follow.
even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you follow this character who's a kid growing up in a recruitment world for the Space Marines. He goes through the initiation trials and then eventually becomes like,
That'd be pretty cool. That makes more sense. Yeah. Because then you see how a neophyte or a person becomes a Space Marine.
yeah.
You see the trials, the tribulations, what that chapter embodies, all the tactics and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And you could even like, because I was thinking of 300, and you know how in 300, what's his name, Leonidas, like you see Leonidas as a kid, kills the fucking wolf,
Yeah.
like it's something like that. It could be quick, and then it establishes that like rapport with this character. Or you could take your time. Like there's another movie with a kid who's going through, like it's a kid and a dog, and like it's prehistoric time.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that kind of story would be kind of cool too, because remember, like you guys have always asked, like tell us all the different Imperial Guard worlds. There's like feudal worlds. Like you can make this like an old timey thing. That's so many.
Yeah,
So many
you can
options.
go completely futuristic sci-fi, or you could have it be like dinosaurs, or you can have it be like in the slums and there's like criminal networks. It could be anything, honestly.
Which would be really badass.
That's the cool thing about 40K. Any genre you can think of, dark fantasy, sci-fi, hell, even westerns, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a cinematic universe for 40K is really like it's perfect. Because now I'm thinking like a Necromunda style. Like you're still talking about the Underhive and you're still talking about 40K.
Yeah.
But really it's about espionage and gang wars and
Yeah, and I think the best way to explore all these different worlds is through an Inquisitor.
right, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do have Eisenhorn, which was supposed to be a show years back, and it went silent. So maybe this is what the beginning of cinematic universe is.
Yeah. But again, let us know in the comments section below what you guys want to see, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, this has been The Sound Alchemist,
Gershwan.
and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.